Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Tim Morley and I are going to build up a dream sim. I've got a few projects in the pipeline with Gran Turismo because Gran Turismo and Michelin are closely partnered. So I've got some really interesting projects coming up when I get back from Australia. And look, you can actually see, if you look at the M3, the condensation, you can see how cold it is. As I said earlier on, this is Tim Morley. And Tim runs and owns Effect Simulations. How long have you been doing it now?
It's into its third year now, actually. Yeah,
wow.
So yeah, it started during the COVID period.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of gone from there. So yes, the first 2 years were based in Germany, and then this year it's actually launched in the UK as well. So yeah, so you got effectsimulations.com.
Yep.
And that's all looking after all the European stuff. And effectsimulationsuk.com, and that's the UK business. So it's two independent businesses, but both obviously fulfilling Europe and UK.
Tell us a little bit about you, because I've known you now, Tim, probably what, 6 or 7 years?
Yeah, something like that. We met out at the Nürburgring, I think. That's where we first met, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so we met over there, obviously driving fast cars.
Yep.
Yeah, so I spent the last 6-7 years driving the ring taxis and doing various motorsport like VLN, RCN, endurance series, 25 of Spa, some historic racing, stuff like that.
Yep.
And obviously during the COVID period, motorsport stopped. So the motorsport world needed an alternative. Everything turned to simulators. Didn't matter if it was Formula 1, VLN, World Endurance Series, everything went to simulators. So to stay involved, the entire motorsport community shifted over that way, myself included.
Yes.
Which is sort of where the idea originally came from. Because it was, how do we stay involved but keep the cars feeling, well, keep how you're sat in the car feeling like real. So yeah, the first thing was the driving position. And I was like, well, you know, I've got access to a lot of nice race cars around me. Let's utilise them. So we laser scanned the geometry of a McLaren 720, which in my opinion, and I'm sure it's shared amongst others as well, it's one of the best driving positions of any car out there.
Yep.
And that was sort of the basis of the idea of how do you feel like you're in a real car. And then obviously that was like number one on the design brief. Number two on the design brief was I want perfect rigidity, strength, no flex anywhere. And number three is I want it to look like a piece of furniture. I want it to go into inside a house and to be something that you're actually proud to have in there.
Sure.
Unlike a lot of the things which are on the market at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where the idea came from, and then since then it's gone from originally having a smaller platform, which was the original product.
Yep.
And then it grew into this version, which is the XL.
Yep.
And then motion was integrated as well. So you can have full axis movements on there as well. And then integrating things like shifters and different brands of peripheral equipment, like obviously you've got Fanatec here.
Yep.
We're going to set this one up with a PlayStation.
Sure. For
the Gran Turismo link, but obviously you can use PC with iRacing, Assetto, Dirt Rally, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's all compatible, and trying to make it all into one nice complete package. Because that was something else which is quite difficult. If you've just started to get into sim, it's difficult to even know what to look at.
Yes.
You know, because there's so much stuff out there.
Yep.
A lot of it's completely irrelevant to what you want, you know, so you need to really like set a goal. Like, what is your goal? What's your objective? What do you want to achieve from this?
And what's your budget as well, I suppose? Yeah.
Like, for example, I use these all the time.
Yep.
But I don't really use them for fun. For me, it's a training tool.
Yep.
So how do I recreate something which is similar to real life?
Yeah.
For example, a GT3 race car requires 70 kilos plus of brake pressure.
Yep.
Well, then I need a brake pedal on my sim,
right,
which I can recreate that.
Yeah.
And same with the wheel. You know, you've got a one-to-one replica of the GT2 wheel from BMW.
Wait, it's got a BMW badge in it.
Exactly.
Wow. What are the odds in that?
And that'll give you, you know, like that's a one-to-one rep of a BMW wheel.
Yeah.
Which is great for you.
Oh mate, I'm super excited. I've followed Tim, like we just said. I met him years ago at the ring. He's an incredible driver. Like honestly, one of the best I've ever seen. And when I saw you kick this passion off, I knew it was only going to be the best. And even talking to you years ago when you did start it, you could see how passionate you were about it and getting it right. It wasn't just about making some money off the back of COVID. It was building a project and a brand that you've sort of always dreamt of, and something that you can relate to, and something, as he just said, something that he can use to better his driving. We talked about the winter rolling in, and I've shown you the car. When I get back from Australia in just over a month's time, it'll be proper winter. So what does that mean? Well, very few, if any, track days for me. So that, not that I'm going against the clock or trying to improve my driving ability, I'm trying to fulfill some adrenaline and some enjoyment. And I think the fact that I can come into the garage, or if it gets a bit cold, it might eventually end up in the house. That is the plan, but I better not say that too loud because I don't want Lou hearing. Maybe she won't even notice.
Exactly, that's the plan.
Yeah.
I was actually in the design brief. Will it pass the wife test? You know,
Yes.
if it goes in and nothing is said, then it's passed.
Then it's passed, yeah. But it'd probably actually be the nicest thing in the house at the moment. It's a lovely looking bit of kit. But anyway, I'm not going to talk for too much longer because we're going to crack on.
This will bolt to the sliding base.
Okay.
Which is obviously compatible for lots of different pedal configurations.
Yeah.
But that'll bolt to there, and then we can slide it forwards and backwards. And then if you wanted to, you can change the shape of these.
Lovely. They look really nice, don't they?
They're quite heavy as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like in a car, pedals are really important, aren't they?
They are the most important thing of a whole sim.
Right, okay.
People always talk about, oh, I want a better steering wheel, whatever, to
Yeah.
go faster.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Okay.
Obviously, like a Fanatec V3 is a great starting point in
Yeah.
pedals. It's not top of the range, but it's far from the bottom.
Yep.
It's a great way to get started, and if you're coming from a street car,
Yeah.
in particular, that's a great pedal because the brake pedal is quite similar to what a street car is.
Okay, yeah.
It's quite a long way from a race car pedal.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, that's actually a good thing. Like if we go and do expos,
Yep.
I'll usually use the set of Fanatec V3s just because it's more lifelike for someone that's used to a street car.
Yeah.
If you put someone straight into like a 70 kilo brake pressure, they just think the brake's not working because they're putting like 10 kilos of pressure on and nothing's happening.
Yes.
Whereas that's obviously more
really.
so.
I've been there and done that with a proper racing sim, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, making a good lap time and losing so much in the brakes and thinking I'm locking them up or something's going on, but actually you're not.
Not actually touching the brake.
You're not even. The pads are just hovering over the disc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to get started, and obviously it's got the clutch as well for the shifter.
Yes.
So which is a nice touch.
Awesome. Cool.
We'll get them on there first. Which side do you want the PlayStation on? I guess that side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll do then is the cable from here. This will link up to the steering wheel, so this will come out the pedals, up this tube, and into the wheelbase.
That is so cool.
Then the wheelbase USB will go from the wheelbase down the same tube into the PlayStation. Reason being is that you just don't want any cables. Like, I hate cables.
So you missed the OCD here.
Exactly.
But you're right. What is the point in having such a beautifully made sim and all this lovely finish when you have cables running all over the place? Because they just look. So you can actually see it there in the TV stands. The cables running through the tubing.
We've already installed the 3 cables that you need. So you've got your power cable for the wheelbase, power cable for the TV, and the HDMI for the TV. So that'll run through there.
That's amazing.
Cables run through there for the cockpit side of things. So there'll be nothing on display because like you say, it just can't be having cables everywhere when you've got something that looks like that. So yeah.
Brilliant. So the pedal box has now been mounted. As has the steering wheel and what are these called? Wheelbase?
The wheelbase.
Wheelbase?
Yeah, so that's the Fanatec CSL DV Pro. So 8 Newton meters of torque output from that one.
Yep.
And it's compatible with PlayStation, Xbox, PC.
Excellent. So that's the current pedal box, or out of the box, but we have got some options there, right?
Yeah, so the Fanatec include these like adapters, so it feels more like depending on what you're used to, it feels more like a real pedal. So you can adjust the angle that sits on there. So you could have it sort of more like this or more like that, or you can change the height. That's very much like a personal preference.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that do run these pedals end up changing to this at some point, even if it's just to try out. But yeah, we can test that later on and see what you think.
Amazing.
And even when you use that, you still retain the feedback on the back, so you've got the vibration on the back for like ABS and stuff like that. So even with that mounted there, you still have that option.
Okay, so you don't lose any of the mechanics of the pedals then?
Correct. Yeah, and then obviously like there's 3 included, so you could have like 1 on the brake, or you could have 1 on the gas, or you could use all 3 or whatever.
Wow.
Basically.
Very cool. Moments later, and we have the seat installed. So the seat itself is on rails, so it slides forwards and backwards just like in your car, and the pedal box is also adjustable, which is really handy because obviously we're all different shapes and sizes, and I know I talk about that a lot and go on about my height, but I've also got a very long torso, so I've got legs from a 5'10" guy and a torso from a 6'7" guy, which can be a pain in the car with headspace and helmets and stuff. But obviously, when you translate that to a sim, the same thing applies. We've gone for the Sparko. Obviously, you can go for whatever you want. But that's really good value, and it looks great. Oh, how good does this all look now? Oh, I can't wait. Anything else to add there, Tim?
No, it's like you say, so it depends how much you want to spend with the seats. That's by far the most popular seat. Like the cost for what you're getting it's very good.
Yep.
It fits most different sizes of people as well. It looks good, it's easy to keep clean. So yeah, that's by far the most popular.
Yep.
And the only other thing I would add as well actually is that obviously this wheelbase is where it is now. That's fixed, but you can move that forwards and backwards depending on how you feel once you get going. So usually what we do, put it in sort of a default position, get the customer in, see how they feel. And if they want to move the steering wheel forwards or backwards, we can do that a bit further down the line.
Sure.
So yeah, like I say, the seat and the pedals are infinitely adjustable on the fly.
Yep.
Whereas that's more of a fixed situation.
Okay.
And depending on what wheelbase you use as well. So that's, like I said, that's a Fanatec one, or you can use a Simi Cube or a VRS. Yeah, it's compatible across the range really, but the same applies. You know, whether you want it forwards or backwards, that's always the fixed element. Then you move the seat and the pedals accordingly. So yeah, we'll get the monitor sorted, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Screen is in place. Once again, obviously, whatever the screen you have is completely optional. I've gone for a Sony because Sony are part of the Gran Turismo setup. And recommended by Michelin, etc. It's a 50-inch, I think. Tim you use a curved display for your, but then you're on iRacing, so yeah, on PC.
On PC, you normally use like a 49-inch widescreen monitor, like with a curve on it.
Yep.
Or triple screens. Biggest difference, they've just got a different aspect ratio. So if you had that size monitor on a PC, it wouldn't be so deep. It would be more like that sort of aspect ratio instead. So it all looks a bit more low down, yeah. Yeah, more like a windscreen, I suppose. Exactly. So what we'll do is once we've got everything on, and we've got a true idea of the field of view that Gran Turismo is going to get us, then we can adjust the screen up or down depending on what suits you. Basically, it's all on sliders, it's all adjustable.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'll take it from there.
And once again, cable routing. So Tim did his homework. I told Tim what TV I had, and he checked out what the cable, power cable, HDMI, etc. So they've come straight up via that post there and into here. So once again, you can already see once they're tucked away, there's going to be no cables running around everywhere, which is really neat and tidy. These are his TV posts as well, so it's exactly the same tubular carbon as the Sim, so it all fits together very nicely, extremely adjustable. And obviously if you're moving your Sim around, it's really easy to move them independently, so you can focus on the TV, get that out of the way, and then focus on the actual main base of the Sim. One
of the things I'm asked about a lot as well is, can you have an integrated monitor mount?
Yep.
I'd always recommend you have them separate, like all the time. Basically, any vibration or feedback you get from the wheel or the pedals or whatever, you know, it starts small here, but by the time it's made its way even to here sometimes on a large monitor, that tiny movement down here, by the time it gets over here, is quite a large shake. So to have them separate is what I'd always recommend. So obviously you've got the adjustability factor, and also the fact that it's not going to be influenced by what's happening in the cockpit.
Of course.
So yeah, that's why I always recommend to have the two.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As you can see, it is pretty much done. We've just fired up the PlayStation for the first time. As with everything modern TV wise, PlayStation wise, it takes ages to get it all set up. I did the update on the PS5 yesterday, so that's a good little tip for anyone that is building one for the first time and has just purchased the PS5. But as you can see, I mean, what a beautiful looking piece of kit. Look at that, just finishing touches. So they are built into the actual Sim base, so you can imagine at night it's going to look pretty cool in here.
A few cable ties could be done around there and stuff, but all around the back end monitors all done.
Look at that, lovely. Perfect. Perfection. Somewhat nicer than my my old playseat setup.
Yeah, come on a bit since then, haven't they?
Yeah. We played around with the driving position. Didn't take long to get my perfect driving position. It just feels absolutely spot on. It feels very much like my M2 actually. So happy with it. Really, really delighted. Tim, thanks so much for everything, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah, really, really cool.
It's all looking good there, isn't it?
It is. Make sure you do check out in the description Tim's website.
Yeah, we'll do website, Instagram,
Yep.
and you can take it from there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Instagram's really good because you get an idea of all the setups. There's various ones on there. Keep an eye out on my socials because I'm going to be doing lots with the sim. It's also going to be in the backdrop of a podcast that we're filming tomorrow morning. If you haven't checked our Drive Talk podcast out, make sure you do. There'll be a link to that in the description. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to get a little bit less rusty and I'll sign off a bit later. Hopefully in something a bit more powerful than a Mazda Demio 110 horsepower. Wow. Tim and Patrick have actually been setting up the wheel because you can play around with the feedback massively, right?
Yeah, so the force feedback in the game, you can change the settings there, but also in the steering wheel itself has its own force feedback settings for the. It's got 8 Newton meters of force,
wow,
which is quite a lot through the wheel.
Okay.
Kind of max power there. Knew my way around Gran Turismo, so I've been unlocking a few things for you. And we managed to just drag enough cash together to get the RSR bought. But now, yeah, Tim's just validating that it all responds as it should, and yeah, that the wheel and the force feedback feels, well, realistic and authentic. That's the main thing.
Can you get
really.
through the chicane? Pressure's on.
Oh,
yes,
look at the
he
scale
nailed
of
it.
that. Oh, this is the lap as well.
There we go.
On camera and everything.
See, so he needs the
Here it
pressure.
is.
That's it. Are these my driving shoes? No, these might not.
No, they're your driving
They
shoes,
are.
mate. Yeah, look at those.
My Pelotti, what are they
Look
called?
at those.
Loafers?
Yeah, loafers.
Loafers,
Yeah.
Pelottis. Yes, they are my perfect sim shoes. They're going to live the sim. I'll cut the camera right now.